Hi, my name is Loic, and I'm an intern here at controlsnyc. I'm 17, and I have no experience or prior knowledge about building automation, but I'm very interested in the field, and I'm going to be documenting my learning journey on these vlogs. The goal of these videos and my internship is to show the process of learning for someone who has no knowledge of BMS systems, working on my own, and finding my own resources to become familiar with the field and build a project. So I'll be looking at different resources online, trying to simulate what an inexperienced but interested person can do on their own in order to get into the field without formal training. I've been an intern here since Monday, and I spent the first day learning about Niagara 4, which is a software infrastructure that's used to run BMS systems and communicate between devices. I've had access to a whole slideshow that's part of the Niagara 4 technical certification program, which I read through and took notes from. So coming into the internship, I had only a little experience with programming, so it was a steep learning curve at first to figure out what was going on. For example, I had to learn about the different kinds of data, such as binary, enum, analog, and string, on top of learning about Niagara. Overall, I think this was a great introduction to Niagara. Even if I dove into the deep end a little bit, it would definitely be more helpful if I had Niagara up and running on the side in order to follow along and participate in some of the lab activities. But it was still a good way to get introduced to the software. I also learned about BACnet, LON, and Modbus work and how they interact with devices and components. So far, I understand how they all work, and in theory, how to navigate them. For instance, I learned how to navigate Niagara, create points, link components, schedule events, add extensions, add a loop object for a PID controller, alarming histories, and hierarchies. A lot of stuff that was kind of overwhelming at first, but I got through it and I understand it. But so far, I don't know how to use them. For example, what do I have to do to make a water pump to make sure it doesn't pass a certain threshold of discharge rate? I know how to theoretically have an alarm in place if it does, and I know that I can tell the pump to limit its discharge rate, but I don't know how these will interact with each other to make it work. I also, again, haven't actually started interacting with the software yet myself, so I'm hoping that I can clear that up once I start working on my project through trial and error. Speaking of which, let me introduce the project I'll be working on. My goal as part of this internship is to design the systems for HVAC and water for a building in New York City that I've chosen, the Chrysler building, which I chose because I just like it visually. It's always been one of my favorites. And the way I'm going to go about this is first learning about how BMS systems work. So how do I make a water pump control its discharge rate, other basic climate control types of stuff. Then I'll do research about the Chrysler building to understand what kinds of systems I'll use. So what kind of water systems are in place, any specs on their devices, if possible. Following that, I'll start a simple proposal including riser diagrams, airflow diagrams, wiring diagrams, and control diagrams. I'm going to make these very simple just to get the basics down in order to give myself something appropriate to start learning with. I think that part is going to take me a good week because I have to learn how to make all these diagrams and then spend time drawing them. Then as I learn more, I'll start to get more detailed and more complex with my programming and ideas. I'm a little concerned about this step because I really have no experience with this area, and the diagrams I've seen so far are pretty intricate, but I'll cover these more in later videos when I get to these steps. My primary focus right now is to keep learning about Niagara and start researching the Chrysler building. Since I don't have access to Niagara, I'm going to look up videos on YouTube that can help me get a feel for how Niagara looks, works, and how to use it. I've already found a couple training videos that are great, that help me understand alarms and other instances that show you how to do them by One Site TV. So I'll continue to look there in order to learn about making simple processes and systems. Additionally, I'll start researching the Chrysler building by looking at some public records, if they're available, to get any idea what the water, heating, ventilation systems look like, and see if I can get a floor plan to figure out how everything works, where everything's situated. And if I can't get precise information, I'll just have to make some educated guesses on how the building works. And I'm expecting to spend the rest of the week on this, both by watching videos on Niagara and looking up information on the Chrysler building. So I'm anticipating on spending days 1 through 5 on learning about Niagara, how HVAC systems work, and researching the Chrysler building. Then days 6 and 7 would be about learning different types of diagrams, riser diagrams, airflow diagrams, how to draw them. Days 8 through 10, draw necessary diagrams and complete the proposal, which also has a step-by-step aspect to it. Days 11 through 15, I'll start working with Niagara to complete, one simple floor And then days 16 through 25, I'll continue expanding on my work, making it more complex, adding different floors. This is a very tentative timeline. I'm not anticipating this to stick to this extremely closely, but I'll do my best. I'm really excited to move forward with this. I'm not sure how far I'll get or how good the work will be, but I'm going to do my best to build as much as possible, as well as possible. And I'll take it one system at a time, one floor at a time, and hopefully I'll learn a lot and be successful.